Ladies and gentlemen, I want to speak to your spirit today. Let this message resonate deep within your soul. No matter where you've been, no matter how much time you feel you've lost, no matter the years you believe have been stolen from you, I am here to remind you God is a restorer. We often measure time by what we can see: missed opportunities, broken relationships, dreams that never came to pass. But let me remind you of this truth: time in God's hands is not lost time. What may feel like a wasted year to you is simply preparation in His plan. The promise of restoration is not just about giving you back what you lost, it's about giving you better than what you had. The years of loss, the years of struggle, the years of regret are not the end of your story. God has the power to take every tear you've cried, every mistake you've made, and every opportunity you've missed and turn it into something beautiful. Restoration begins with belief. You cannot receive what you do not expect. If you hold on to regret and self-pity, you will remain a prisoner of your past. But the moment you trust that your Creator can restore everything you've lost, the process begins. Second, restoration requires alignment. You must align your life with His principles. If you've lost years chasing the wrong things, this is your chance to reset. To restore your years, God will sometimes redirect your path. He will remove what is hindering you, even if it feels uncomfortable. But hear me, every step is necessary to prepare you for the future He has planned. Finally, restoration demands action. Don't wait idly for things to come back to you. God's restoration requires that you partner with Him. Take the lessons from your wasted years and use them as wisdom for the future. What you learn in the valley prepares you for the victory on the mountaintop. When God restores, He doesn't just replace, He multiplies. Think of the years you've spent in failure or loss. Imagine God taking those years and using them to give you wisdom, maturity, and strength. You may have lost time, but you've gained experience. You may have faced defeat, but you've gained resilience. Remember the story of Job. He lost everything: his family, his wealth, his health. But when the time of restoration came, God gave him double for his trouble. This is not just a story, it is a principle. God's restoration is never equal, it is always greater. I want you to understand this: nothing is truly wasted in God's economy. Even the seasons of failure have a purpose. They refine you, they teach you, they humble you, they prepare you for what's next. The years you spend wandering in confusion were teaching you the value of clarity. The years of pain were showing you the strength that lies within you. The years of rejection were preparing you for the relationships that will build you up. God is not just restoring your years, He is restoring your joy, your peace, your confidence, and your purpose. There is a promise for you: I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten. This is not just a poetic verse. It is a declaration from the Creator of time itself. What the enemy stole, what you gave up in moments of weakness, what you lost to circumstances beyond your control, God is able to restore it all. So stop focusing on what you've lost. Start preparing for what's to come. Restoration is on its way. The only question is, are you ready to receive it? Let me leave you with this: the wasted years do not define you. Your past may explain how you got here, but it does not determine where you are going. You are not your mistakes. You are not your failures. You are a masterpiece in progress. Get ready for restoration. Get ready for better days. And when God restores your years, remember this: the time you thought was wasted was simply the foundation for the life you're about to live. God is a restorer of time. This truth is both comforting and transformative because it speaks directly to the core of our human experience. Time is the one resource that feels fleeting, irreversible, and irreplaceable. It is something we can never manufacture, something that once passed we believe is gone forever. Yet in the hands of the Creator of time itself, it can be redeemed, restored, and even multiplied. This truth is not just an idea, it is a principle deeply rooted in the nature of who God is. When we think about time, it's often measured by our successes, our failures, and the opportunities we believe we've missed. It's easy to look back on our lives and feel a sense of regret. We think of the relationships that slipped through our fingers, the dreams we abandoned, or the mistakes we made that cost us years of progress. But God does not view time as we do. While we measure time in moments, He measures it in purpose. While we see wasted years, He sees seasons of preparation. The very time we think we have lost is often the soil where He plants seeds for something far greater than we can imagine. There is a divine truth that flows throughout history. God can take what seems to be broken, empty, and barren and turn it into something fruitful, whole, and abundant. He can restore what has been taken, renew what has been lost, and bring forth beauty from ashes. Time is no exception to this principle. The years that feel wasted, the years spent wandering in confusion, the years consumed by pain or failure are not outside the reach of his restoration. God has the ability to redeem those years, not just by giving them back to us, but by making them count for something even greater. The concept of restoration is woven into the fabric of God's nature. He is a God of redemption, and redemption always involves taking something that appears to be lost or destroyed and transforming it into something of value. This is not a small act. It is a demonstration of his power, his love, and his desire for us to live out the fullness of our potential. When we think of wasted time, we often carry a sense of finality, as though the opportunity to fulfill our purpose has passed us by. But with God, time is not a limitation. He operates outside of it, and therefore he has the authority to restore it in ways we cannot comprehend. God's restoration of time is not simply about undoing what was done or turning back the clock. It is about acceleration, multiplication, and transformation. Think of the farmer who loses an entire season of crops due to a storm. In human terms, the loss is final. The season has passed and the opportunity is gone. But in God's hands, that farmer's next harvest could be so abundant that it more than makes up for the loss. This is the nature of divine restoration. It doesn't just replace, it exceeds. The wasted years are not just given back, they are multiplied in their impact. Many people live with a heavy burden of regret. They look back at their lives and see wasted opportunities, unfulfilled dreams, and mistakes that cost them precious time. But regret is not the language of the kingdom. God's plan for restoration does not involve dwelling on what was lost. It involves moving forward with what he can redeem. The years you feel you have wasted are often the years he uses to teach you, mold you, and prepare you for what's to come. Every experience, even the ones that feel like failure, can become part of the restoration process. Consider the story of Joseph. He spent years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. From the outside, those years appeared wasted time stolen from a young man with so much potential. But in God's plan, those years were not wasted, they were preparation. The very place that seemed to confine him became the place where his character was refined. And when the time came for Joseph to step into his destiny, he was not only restored to freedom, but elevated to a position of power and influence that far exceeded anything he could have imagined. This is how God works. He doesn't just restore, he elevates. He takes the years that seem barren and fills them with purpose. He takes the seasons of pain and turns them into testimonies of victory. He takes the time we thought was lost and uses it to accomplish his plans in ways we never could have foreseen. What may seem like a delay is often divine timing. What may feel like a setback is often the setup for something greater. The restoration of time also requires a shift in perspective. We must begin to see time through God's eyes, not our own. What we perceive as wasted may actually be working for our good. The waiting seasons, the seasons of struggle, and even the seasons of failure all have a purpose in his plan. It is in these times that we are stretched, strengthened, and prepared for what lies ahead. God's restoration does not come without preparation, and preparation takes time. But once the restoration begins, it often happens in ways that are swift and unexpected. I think of the locusts mentioned in Scripture, devouring everything in their path and leaving the land barren. To the human eye, the devastation seems total, the loss irreversible. But God's promise is clear: I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten. This is not just a promise to repair what was broken, it is a promise to replenish, to multiply, to bring forth abundance where there was once lack. The barren land is not the end of the story. In God's hands, it becomes the foundation for a harvest greater than anyone could have imagined. Restoration is not limited by the magnitude of the loss. It is not hindered by the passage of time. God's ability to restore is not dependent on how much time has passed or how great the loss appears to be. He is the creator of time, the one who holds it in his hands. If he can stop the sun in the sky, if he can turn back the shadow on the sundial, if he can raise the dead to life, then surely he can restore the time you feel you have lost. The restoration of time is also deeply personal. It is not a one-size-fits-all process. God knows exactly what each of us needs and how to bring about restoration in a way that is unique to our journey. For some, it may look like the fulfillment of a long-lost dream. For others, it may be the healing of a broken relationship or the opening of a new opportunity. Whatever form it takes, God's restoration is always tailored to the individual. It's important to understand that God's restoration often begins in the heart before it is visible in our circumstances. He restores our hope, our joy, and our faith before he restores what was lost. This internal restoration is crucial because it prepares us to receive the external restoration. Without it, we may not recognize or fully appreciate what he is doing in our lives. When we trust in God's ability to restore time, we are free to let go of regret. We no longer have to carry the weight of what could have been or should have been. We can move forward with confidence, knowing that he is able to redeem every moment, every mistake, and every opportunity we thought we had missed. We can live with the assurance that our best days are not behind us but ahead of us, because the God who restores time is also the God who gives purpose to every season. The years you thought were wasted are not lost. They are in the hands of the one who can turn them into something greater than you ever imagined. The time you spent wandering in confusion was not wasted. It was preparing you for clarity. The time you spent in pain was not wasted. It was teaching you strength. The time you spent in failure was not wasted. It was equipping you with wisdom. God is a restorer of time, and his restoration is not limited by what we see or understand. It is abundant, it is purposeful, and it is always greater than what was lost. When you trust him with your time, you will see that nothing is truly wasted. Every moment, every experience, and every season has a purpose in his hands. Restoration requires belief, alignment, and action. This is a principle that speaks directly to the process by which transformation takes place in our lives. Restoration is not simply about receiving what was lost or taken. It is an intentional journey that requires our participation. While God is the ultimate source of restoration, the fulfillment of that promise is deeply connected to the condition of our hearts, the choices we make, and the steps we take. It is a process that calls us to believe in what we cannot yet see, to align ourselves with the principles and truth that lead to restoration, and to act in faith, trusting that what has been promised will come to pass. Belief is the foundation of restoration. Without belief, we cannot fully embrace the promise of restoration or participate in the process. Belief requires us to trust in the unseen, to have faith in what may not yet be tangible, and to hold on to hope even when circumstances seem to contradict it. Belief is not simply wishful thinking or blind optimism. It is a deep conviction that what has been spoken will come to pass. It is the assurance that no matter how broken or lost a situation may seem, restoration is possible because of who God is and what he has promised. Belief is not always easy. It often requires us to confront doubt, fear, and past disappointments. It challenges us to rise above the voices that tell us it is too late, that too much has been lost, or that restoration is impossible. True belief is a choice, a decision to trust in the power of restoration, even when everything around us says otherwise. When we believe in restoration, we open the door for transformation to begin. Belief sets the stage for hope to take root in our hearts, and hope is the seed from which restoration grows. It is important to understand that restoration does not always happen instantly or in the way we expect. There may be times when the process feels slow, when progress seems invisible, or when obstacles arise. But belief is what sustains us in those moments. It is the anchor that keeps us grounded, the light that guides us forward, and the fuel that keeps us moving toward the promise of restoration. Alignment is the next step in the process of restoration. Belief alone is not enough. We must also align ourselves with the principles and truth that make restoration possible. Alignment is about positioning ourselves in such a way that we are ready to receive what has been promised. It is about bringing our thoughts, actions, and decisions into harmony with the purpose and direction of restoration. Alignment often requires us to make changes in our lives, changes in the way we think, the way we speak, and the way we speak and the way we act. It may involve letting go of habits, attitudes, or relationships that hinder the process of restoration. It may require us to step away from environments that keep us stuck in cycles of brokenness or prevent us from moving forward. Alignment is not always comfortable, but it is necessary. To align ourselves with restoration, we must first understand what it means to be aligned. Alignment is about agreement. It is about coming into agreement with the truth of restoration and rejecting anything that contradicts it. This means we must guard our minds against negativity, doubt, and despair. We must be intentional about the thoughts we entertain, the words we speak, and the choices we make. Alignment requires us to focus on what is true, noble, and uplifting. It calls us to walk in integrity, to live with purpose, and to pursue the things that bring life and wholeness. One of the greatest challenges of alignment is the need to let go of what no longer serves us. There are times when the process of restoration requires us to release the very things we are holding on to. These may be things we once thought were good for us, things that brought us comfort or security, or even things that have become part of our identity. But if those things are hindering our ability to align with the truth of restoration, they must be released. Letting go is not easy, but it is an act of faith that opens the door for something greater to take its place. Alignment also requires us to embrace a mindset of growth and transformation. Restoration is not about returning to the way things were. It is about moving forward into something new and better. This means we must be willing to change, to grow, and to evolve. We must be willing to learn from our experiences, to seek wisdom, and to embrace new perspectives. Alignment is a dynamic process. It is not a one-time decision, but an ongoing commitment to walk in the direction of restoration. Action is the final step in the process of restoration. Belief and alignment are essential, but without action, they remain incomplete. Restoration requires us to take steps of faith, to move forward in obedience, and to actively participate in the process. Action is where belief and alignment become tangible. It is the outward expression of our faith and the evidence of our commitment to the promise of restoration. Action requires us to do our part, to take responsibility for the things within our control, and to trust God with the things that are beyond our control. Taking action in the process of restoration often involves stepping out of our comfort zones. It may mean pursuing opportunities we once thought were lost, rebuilding relationships that were broken, or taking risks that feel uncertain. Action is not always easy, but it is necessary. It is through action that we demonstrate our belief in restoration and our willingness to align ourselves with its principles. Action is what moves us from a place of waiting to a place of receiving. One of the most important aspects of action is persistence. Restoration is rarely a linear process, and there may be times when progress feels slow or setbacks occur. In those moments, it can be tempting to give up or to believe that restoration is not possible. But persistence is what keeps us moving forward. It is the determination to keep taking steps, even when the path is unclear. It is the resolve to keep pressing on, even when the results are not yet visible. Persistence is an act of faith. It is the choice to keep believing, aligning, and acting, no matter what challenges arise. Another key aspect of action is gratitude. Gratitude is a powerful force that propels the process of restoration forward. When we approach each step of the journey with a spirit of thankfulness, we shift our focus from what is lacking to what is possible. Gratitude opens our eyes to the blessings and opportunities that are already present, and it prepares our hearts to receive even more. Action fueled by gratitude is action that aligns with the principles of restoration. It is important to understand that action does not always mean doing more or striving harder. Sometimes the most powerful action we can take is to surrender, to rest, and to trust. Restoration is not about earning or striving. It is about cooperating with the process and allowing it to unfold in its time. There are moments when action requires us to be still, to listen, and to wait. There are moments when action requires us to let go of control and to trust that the promise of restoration will be fulfilled. Restoration is a journey that requires belief, alignment, and action. These three elements work together to create a process that is both transformative and purposeful. Belief is the foundation. It sets the stage for hope and opens the door for restoration to begin. Alignment is the next step. It positions us to receive what has been promised and brings our lives into harmony with the truth of restoration. Action is the final step. It is the outward expression of our faith and the evidence of our commitment to the process. Together, these three elements form a powerful framework for restoration, a framework that allows us to move forward with confidence, purpose, and hope. God's restoration is always greater, a truth that resonates deeply with the human experience of loss, disappointment, and brokenness. In life, there are moments when everything seems to fall apart, when the dreams we held dear shatter and the plans we made come to nothing. It is in these moments of despair that the promise of restoration becomes most meaningful. But this restoration is not just a return to what once was. It is an elevation, a multiplication, a transformation that goes far beyond what we could imagine. When God restores, He does not simply repair. He renews, enhances, and creates something far greater than what was lost. To understand the depth of this truth, we must first recognize that restoration is rooted in divine love and purpose. God does not restore out of obligation, but out of a deep desire to bring wholeness, fulfillment, and abundance to our lives. His restoration is always greater because it reflects His nature, boundless, generous, and overflowing with goodness. God sees the broken pieces of our lives not as ruins to be discarded, but as opportunities to showcase His power and grace. He takes what seems irreparable and transforms it into something magnificent, something that reveals His glory and renews our hope. God's restoration often comes in unexpected ways. When we think of restoration, we might imagine receiving back exactly what we lost or returning to a previous state of comfort and security. But God's restoration does not operate within the limits of human expectations. He is not constrained by what we think is possible or by what seems logical. Instead, His restoration surpasses our understanding and takes forms that we may not anticipate. Sometimes he restores relationships that seemed irreparably broken, but in ways that deepen love and understanding beyond what was ever present before. Other times he replaces what was lost with something entirely new, something we never imagined, but that ultimately fulfills us in ways we could not have foreseen. This greater restoration is also evident in the way God works through time. Human beings are often bound by the concept of time, believing that opportunities missed are gone forever, or that years spent in pain or struggle are wasted. But God is not limited by time. He operates outside of its boundaries, and his restoration can reclaim and redeem even the years that seem lost. He can take seasons of hardship, failure, or delay and use them as the foundation for something extraordinary. What may seem like wasted time to us becomes, in God's hands, the raw material for growth, transformation, and purpose. He does not simply restore the lost years, he multiplies their impact, making them more fruitful than we could have ever imagined. God's restoration is also greater because it is holistic. He does not merely address one area of our lives while leaving others untouched. His restoration reaches into every corner of our being, our hearts, minds, bodies, and spirits. When God restores, he brings healing to wounds we may not even realize we carry. He addresses the pain beneath the surface, the fears we have buried, and the doubts that have taken root. His restoration is not superficial, it is deep and transformative, creating a ripple effect that impacts every aspect of our lives. He does not just give back what was lost, he makes us stronger, wiser, and more equipped to face the future. There is a profound beauty in the way God's restoration works through brokenness. In human terms, broken things are often discarded, deemed worthless, or beyond repair. But God specializes in using brokenness as the starting point for restoration. He takes the shattered pieces of our lives and creates something new, something more beautiful than what existed before. This is not just about fixing what is broken, it is about creating a masterpiece that could not have existed without the brokenness. The cracks, the scars, and the imperfections become part of the beauty, a testament to his power to redeem and restore. This principle is evident in the stories of people who have experienced God's restoration firsthand. Time and again, we see individuals who have faced unimaginable loss, pain, or failure only to emerge stronger, more fulfilled, and more purpose-driven than before. These stories remind us that God's restoration is not about erasing the past, but about transforming it. He takes the ashes of our lives and turns them into something magnificent, something that brings glory to him and hope to others. What we once saw as defeat becomes the foundation for victory. What we once saw as loss becomes the catalyst for growth. God's restoration is also marked by abundance. He does not restore in small measures or with reluctance. His restoration is generous, overflowing, and beyond what we could ask or imagine. When he restores, he does so with a lavishness that reflects his character. This abundance is not just about material blessings. It is about the fullness of life, peace, joy, purpose, and fulfillment. It is about experiencing a depth of relationship with him and with others that transcends anything we have known before. God's restoration is always greater because it is rooted in his desire for us to live abundant lives, lives that reflect his goodness and bring him glory. One of the most remarkable aspects of God's restoration is that it often includes a redirection of our lives. In the process of restoring what was lost, God frequently leads us to new paths, new opportunities, and new purposes. He does not just give us back what we had, he uses the experience of loss to prepare us for something greater. The pain, the lessons, and the growth we experience in the midst of brokenness become the foundation for the next chapter of our lives. God's restoration is always forward-looking, always leading us toward greater purpose and fulfillment. It is also important to recognize that God's restoration is deeply personal. He knows the unique details of our lives, the losses we have faced, the dreams we have held, and the pain we have endured. His restoration is not a one-size-fits-all solution. It is tailored to our individual needs, desires, and circumstances. He meets us where we are and restores us in ways that are meaningful to us. This personal nature of restoration reflects his intimate knowledge of us and his deep love for us. It reminds us that we are not just recipients of restoration, we are participants in a relationship with the one who restores. God's restoration is always greater because it points us back to him. It reminds us of his power, his faithfulness, and his love. It draws us closer to him, deepens our trust in him, and strengthens our relationship with him. Restoration is not just about what we receive, it is about who we become in the process. As we experience his restoration, we are transformed not just externally, but internally. Our faith grows, our hearts are renewed, and our lives become a testimony to his goodness and grace. In the end, God's restoration is always greater because it is rooted in his perfect plan for our lives. He sees the bigger picture, the eternal perspective, and the ultimate purpose of every situation. While we may focus on what we have lost or what we hope to regain, He is focused on what we are becoming and how our lives fit into his greater plan. His restoration is not just about us, it is about his glory and his kingdom. It is about using our lives as a testament to his power to redeem, renew, and restore. And in this we find the true greatness of his restoration, the greatness that transforms not only our circumstances but also our hearts, our purpose, and our destiny. Wasted years have a purpose, even when they feel like empty spaces in the timeline of our lives. There are moments when we look back and see years marked by failure, loss, missed opportunities, or seemingly stagnant progress. These seasons may appear to be devoid of meaning or fruitfulness, but in the hands of the divine, they carry profound significance. What may seem wasted to us is often part of a greater tapestry, a design we cannot yet see in its entirety. The truth is that no experience, no matter how painful or seemingly purposeless, is ever truly wasted when we are open to its lessons and its potential for transformation. Life is not linear, and neither is growth. We often imagine progress as a straight path from one success to another, but the reality is far different. There are twists, turns, and seasons that feel like detours or even dead ends. Yet it is in these moments of stillness, confusion, or delay that some of the most profound work is being done within us. Wasted years have a purpose because they teach us patience, resilience, and trust. They strip away illusions of control and remind us that we are part of a story much larger than ourselves. These seasons are not wasted, they are preparatory. They till the soil of our lives, removing what does not serve us and making space for new growth to take root. One of the most significant purposes of wasted years is self-discovery. It is often in our lowest points, in the years that feel unproductive or empty, that we come to know ourselves most deeply. Stripped of external validation or obvious success, we are forced to confront who we are at our core. We begin to ask questions we might not have asked otherwise. What truly matters to me? What are my values? What do I want to contribute to the world? These questions, born out of seasons of perceived stagnation, can lead to a clarity and sense of purpose that might not have been possible in seasons of abundance or busyness. The wasted years then are not wasted at all. They are the crucible in which our true selves are forged. Wasted years also have a purpose in teaching us humility. When everything is going according to plan, it is easy to believe that we are in control, that our success is entirely the result of our own efforts. But in seasons of struggle or perceived failure, we are reminded of our limitations. We come face to face with the reality that life does not always unfold according to our timelines or expectations. This realization can be humbling, but it is also liberating. It frees us from the burden of thinking we must have all the answers or make everything happen on our own. In this humility, we become more open to guidance, to learning, and to the idea that there is a greater plan at work, even in the moments that feel wasted. Another purpose of wasted years is growth, though it may not be the kind of growth we readily recognize or celebrate. While we often equate growth with visible achievements or milestones, true growth often happens beneath the surface. Just as a seed must spend time buried in the darkness before it can sprout and bear fruit, so too must we endure seasons of hidden growth. During these times, we may feel stuck or unproductive, but in reality, we are being prepared for what is to come. We are learning lessons, building character, and developing strength that will serve us in ways we cannot yet imagine. The wasted years are like the unseen roots of a tree, essential to its stability and longevity, even if they are not immediately visible. Wasted years also teach us gratitude. When we emerge from a season of struggle or stagnation, we often have a deeper appreciation for the blessings in our lives. The contrast between the barren years and the fruitful ones makes us more mindful of the good things we might otherwise take for granted. We come to understand the value of time, of relationships, of opportunities in a way that we could not have without the experience of loss or delay. Gratitude born out of hardship is profound and enduring. It changes the way we see the world and allows us to approach life with a sense of wonder and appreciation, even in the smallest of things. In addition to teaching us personal lessons, wasted years often prepare us to help others. The struggles we endure and the lessons we learn in these seasons equip us to empathize with and support those who are going through similar experiences. Our pain becomes a bridge connecting us to others in ways that are authentic and meaningful. We find that the very experiences we once viewed as wasted are the ones that allow us to make a difference in the lives of others. What seemed like a period of emptiness becomes a source of wisdom, compassion, and encouragement, a gift we can offer to those who are walking a similar path. Wasted years also remind us of the importance of perspective. What we perceive as wasted time may not be wasted at all when viewed from a broader perspective. A delay in achieving a goal, for example, might be the very thing that allows us to gain the skills, knowledge, or relationships necessary to succeed when the time is right. A A season of loss might teach us to value what truly matters and prepare us to cherish the blessings that come later. When we look back on our lives, we often see that the times we thought were wasted were actually some of the most significant and transformative periods. They were not detours, but essential parts of the journey. Wasted years also challenge us to redefine success. In a culture that prizes productivity and achievement, it is easy to feel that time spent without visible progress is time wasted. But true success is not about constant forward motion. It is about alignment with purpose, growth, and becoming who we are meant to be. Sometimes the most important work happens in the quiet, in the stillness, in the moments when nothing seems to be happening. Wasted years invite us to let go of superficial definitions of success and embrace a deeper understanding of what it means to live a meaningful life. Furthermore, wasted years can be a time of healing. Life is full of wounds, some visible, others hidden, and healing often takes time. The years that feel wasted may actually be years of restoration, of rebuilding what has been broken or lost. This healing is not always obvious or immediate, but it is essential. It prepares us to move forward with wholeness and strength, rather than carrying the weight of unresolved pain or unhealed wounds. In this sense, the wasted years are not a pause in our journey, but an integral part of it, a time of renewal that allows us to continue with greater clarity and purpose. Wasted years also teach us the value of surrender. When we cling too tightly to our plans, our timelines, or our expectations, we can become frustrated and disheartened when life does not unfold as we hoped. But in the seasons that feel wasted, we are often invited to let go of our need for control and to trust in a greater plan. This surrender is not passive. It is an active choice to release our grip on what we cannot control and to embrace the possibility that there is meaning and purpose even in the waiting. In surrendering, we find peace, and in that peace, we often discover the seeds of new beginnings. Ultimately, wasted years remind us of the power of redemption. They show us that nothing in life is ever truly lost. Every experience, no matter how difficult or seemingly purposeless, can be transformed into something meaningful. The wasted years become the soil in which new dreams are planted, the foundation on which new opportunities are built, and the testimony that inspires others to persevere. They are a reminder that life is not about perfection or constant progress, but about growth, transformation, and the ability to find purpose even in the most unlikely places. Your past does not define you. While the events of your past may have shaped your experiences, influenced your choices, or left lasting impressions on your mind and heart, they do not hold the power to dictate who you are or what you can become. The past is a collection of moments that have passed. It is not a mirror reflecting the sum of your worth or potential. To hold on to the idea that your identity is tied to your past is to live as though the pages already written are the only chapters in your story. Yet every day presents an opportunity to write a new narrative, one that transcends mistakes, disappointments, or missed opportunities. What lies ahead is always more significant than what lies behind. We often carry the weight of the past as though it is a burden we are required to bear for the rest of our lives. We replay moments of failure, regret, or pain, allowing them to color how we see ourselves in the world. This weight can distort our sense of identity, making us believe that we are no more than the sum of our worst moments. But this belief is a lie. The past is an experience, not a verdict. It may provide context, but it does not provide definition. You are not your failures. You are not your wounds. You are not the labels others have placed on you, nor the limitations you once placed on yourself. The past is a lesson, not a life sentence. When you cling to the idea that your past defines you, you close yourself off from the possibility of change. You build a prison out of yesterday's experiences, locking yourself into patterns of thought and behavior that no longer serve you. This self-imposed confinement prevents growth, stifles creativity, and diminishes hope. But the truth is, the person you were yesterday does not have to dictate the person you are today. Every moment is an opportunity to choose differently, to let go of old patterns, and to embrace a new way of being. The power to redefine yourself exists within you, not in the events of your past. It is essential to recognize that the past is static. It cannot be changed or undone, but the present is dynamic, full of possibilities and potential. When you focus on the present, you reclaim your power. You stop giving authority to the events of your past and start directing your energy toward what you can create, build, and become. The past may inform your choices, but it does not have to control them. By shifting your focus from what was to what is, you open yourself up to the freedom of living fully in the here and now. The process of moving beyond the past begins with forgiveness. Forgiveness is not about condoning or excusing what happened. It is about releasing the hold that the past has on your heart and mind. This forgiveness may need to be extended to others, but more often than not, it needs to be extended to yourself. We are often our harshest critics, holding ourselves to impossible standards and punishing ourselves for falling short. But the truth is, every person is imperfect and every person makes mistakes. To forgive yourself is to acknowledge your humanity and to recognize that you are worthy of grace, compassion, and a fresh start. When you forgive yourself, you allow healing to begin. The wounds of the past may not disappear overnight, but they begin to lose their power over you. Healing is not about erasing the scars. It is about learning to carry them with strength and dignity. Your scars are a testament to your resilience, a reminder that you have endured and overcome. They are not symbols of weakness or failure, but of survival and growth. To heal is to reclaim your narrative, to see yourself not as a victim of your past, but as the author of your future. Your past may have included moments of pain, but it is often in these moments that the seeds of strength and wisdom are planted. The trials you have faced have shaped your character, teaching you lessons that can guide you forward. These lessons are not meant to keep you anchored to the past, but to equip you for the journey ahead. When you view your past through the lens of growth rather than judgment, you begin to see its value. The experiences you once viewed as burdens become stepping stones, leading you toward greater understanding and purpose. Letting go of the past does not mean forgetting it or pretending it never happened. It means refusing to allow it to dictate your present or limit your future. It means releasing the emotional hold that past events have on you and choosing to live with intention and purpose. Letting go is an act of courage. It requires you to confront your fears, to face the unknown, and to trust in the possibility of something better. But it is in this act of letting go that true freedom is found. Freedom from the past allows you to see yourself as you truly are, a being of infinite potential. Your worth is not determined by your accomplishments or failures, by the approval or disapproval of others, or by the circumstances you have faced. Your worth is inherent, unchanging, and immeasurable. To live as though your past defines you is to live in a state of forgetfulness, forgetting the truth of your inherent worth and the boundless possibilities that exist within you. When you remember this truth, you begin to live with a sense of purpose and possibility that transcends the limitations of the past. The idea that your past does not define you is not just a comforting thought, it is a call to action. It is an invitation to step into your power, to take responsibility for your life, and to create a future that aligns with your highest aspirations. This requires courage, determination, and a willingness to take risks. It requires you to confront the patterns and beliefs that have held you back, and to replace them with new patterns and beliefs that empower you. It requires you to dream boldly, to act decisively, and to persist in the face of challenges. Transformation is not a one-time event, it is a continual process. Each day you have the opportunity to make choices that move you closer to the person you want to be. These choices may be small, a kind word, a moment of self-care, a step toward a goal, but they add up over time. The process of transformation is not always easy, but it is always worth it. With each step you take, you move further away from the constraints of the past and closer to the freedom of living authentically and fully. It is important to surround yourself with people and environments that support your growth. The voices you listen to, the influences you allow into your life, and the spaces you occupy all have an impact on how you see yourself and your potential. Choose relationships that uplift and inspire you, and seek out environments that encourage creativity, learning, and self-discovery. Surround yourself with reminders of the truth that your past does not define you and that you are capable of achieving greatness. The journey of moving beyond the past is deeply personal, but it is also universal. Every person has faced moments of failure, regret, or pain. Every person has experienced the weight of the past and the longing for a fresh start. In recognizing this shared experience, you find connection and community. You are not alone in your journey, and the lessons you learn along the way can inspire and support others who are walking a similar path. By embracing the truth that your past does not define you, you not only transform your own life, but also contribute to the collective growth and healing of those around you. The past is a part of your story, but it is not the whole story. It is a chapter, not the conclusion. The chapters that remain unwritten are filled with possibility, waiting for you to pick up the pen and create a narrative that reflects your truest self. The power to redefine your life is within you, and it begins with the recognition that you are not bound by the events of your past. You are free to grow, to change, and to create a future that aligns with your highest vision. The past may have shaped you, but it does not define you. You define you.